Lisa brought her daughter Emma to Dr. Phil seeking proof. For 3 years, her ex-husband claimed Emma wasn't biologically hers. The accusation seemed impossible. Lisa gave birth to her. She held Emma in the delivery room. She had the hospital bracelet, the birth certificate, every document proving motherhood. But the DNA test came back on stage, and Dr. Phil stopped mid-sentence. His face changed. The crew froze. What those results revealed wasn't just shocking. It defied everything we understand about biology, identity, and what it means to be a mother. This wasn't about infidelity or lies. This was something far stranger, something that would force a courtroom to redefine parenthood itself. The studio lights felt hotter than usual. Lisa sat across from Dr. Phil, her hands folded tightly in her lap. Emma, now 5 years old, waited backstage with a producer. The brown envelope sat on the table between them, sealed, official, holding answers that would either vindicate Lisa or destroy her. "I've never doubted for a second that Emma is mine," Lisa said, her voice steady but strained. "I was there. I felt her kick inside me for 9 months. I pushed for 14 hours. My body still has the scars." Dr. Phil nodded slowly, the envelope untouched. "But your ex-husband, Marcus, he's been challenging custody for 3 years based on his belief that Emma isn't biologically yours. That's a serious claim." "It's insane," Lisa shot back. "He's doing this to hurt me, to punish me for leaving him." The audience murmured in agreement. On paper, it seemed straightforward. A bitter divorce. Felix, a mother defending her child. But Marcus had insisted on this episode. He provided his own DNA sample. He demanded answers on national television. Dr. Phil picked up the envelope. "These results will tell us the biological truth. But before we open this, I need to ask, are you prepared for any outcome?" Lisa's jaw tightened. "There's only one outcome. I'm her mother." The envelope tore open with a sound that seemed to echo through the silent studio. Dr. Phil pulled out the document, his eyes scanning the text. His expression shifted. Confusion first, then something deeper, concern, maybe disbelief. He looked up at Lisa, then back at the paper. "We need to stop tape." The producer's voice crackled through his earpiece. "What? Stop." Now. The cameras continued rolling, but the energy in the room collapsed. Lisa stood halfway up from her chair. "What does it say?" Dr. Phil held up a hand. "Lisa, I need you to sit down. We need to have a conversation off camera before we continue." But Lisa wasn't sitting. "Tell me what it says." "According to these results," Dr. Phil paused, carefully choosing words, "Emma is not biologically related to you. The DNA markers show no maternal match." The audience gasped. Lisa staggered backward, catching herself on the arm of the chair. "That's impossible." "I know this doesn't make sense," Dr. Phil said gently. "That's why we need to stop and figure out what's happening here." But the damage was already visible. Lisa's face had drained of color. Her breathing quickened. 3 years of accusations. 3 years of defending herself. 3 years of being called a liar. And now this. How could a test say she wasn't Emma's mother when she carried her, birthed her, nursed her? To understand how Lisa ended up on that stage, you have to go back to the divorce. It wasn't clean. Marcus had wanted full custody from the beginning, using every tactic available. But his claim about Emma's maternity seemed so absurd that even his own lawyer had been skeptical. It started with an offhand comment during a custody hearing. Marcus, frustrated and angry, had blurted out, "I'm not even sure she's the biological mother." The judge paused. Lisa's attorney objected, but Marcus doubled down. "Emma doesn't look like her, doesn't have her blood type. Something isn't right." At first, everyone assumed it was desperate manipulation. A man trying to weaponize doubt. But Marcus pushed for genetic testing. He claimed he'd already done a paternity test. Emma was his daughter, no question. But something about the maternal results bothered him. Lisa agreed to the test, confident it would expose Marcus as a liar. She went to a private lab, provided her sample, and waited. When the results came back, she barely glanced at them before filing them with her attorney. Positive match. Of course. Except that wasn't what the lab report actually said. Her attorney, overwhelmed with cases, had misread the summary. The genetic markers showed Marcus as the biological father, but Lisa as genetically unrelated to Emma. The lawyer assumed it was a lab error. It didn't mention it. 3 months later, Marcus's attorney obtained a court order for a second test through a different facility. This time, Lisa paid attention. This time, she saw the words clearly. Maternal match, 0%. She called the lab immediately. There's been a mistake. I gave birth to this child. The technician was apologetic but firm. Ma'am, our tests are accurate to 99.9%. If you believe there's an error, you can request a retest, but these results show no biological relationship. Lisa hung up and stared at the wall. Her mind raced through possibilities. Could Emma have been switched at birth? But Lisa had been conscious the entire time. Emma never left her sight in the hospital. They'd even done that ink footprint thing immediately after delivery. The bracelet matched. That's when Marcus's lawyer proposed the Dr. Phil show. If you're so certain, prove on television. Let Dr. Phil oversee an independent test. If you're right, you'll vindicate yourself publicly. If you're wrong, Lisa didn't let him finish. She agreed, not because she doubted herself, but because she wanted the world to see Marcus's accusations crumble. But now, standing in that studio with Dr. Phil holding proof of the impossible, Lisa realized she'd made a terrible mistake. During the break, a geneticist joined them backstage. Dr. Sarah Chun specialized in rare genetic conditions and had been consulted by the show's producers after the initial results raised red flags. Lisa, have you ever heard of chimerism? Dr. Chun asked gently. Lisa shook her head, still in shock. It's an extremely rare condition where a person has 2 sets of DNA in their body. Usually, it happens when fraternal twin embryos fuse in the womb. One twin essentially absorbs the other, and the surviving person carries cells from both. Lisa blinked. What does that have to do with me? Your blood sample, the one used for the DNA test, might carry DNA from your absorbed twin, but your reproductive cells, your eggs, might carry your own distinct DNA. Which means Emma could biologically be my twin's daughter, Lisa whispered. But I'm the one who carried her. Dr. Chin nodded. Genetically, you'd be Emma's aunt. But biologically, physiologically, you're absolutely her mother. You gave birth to her. The concept was dizzying. Lisa had never known she'd absorb a twin. There had been no symptoms, no indication. But if Dr. Chin was right, it explained everything. The test results, the blood type discrepancy Marcus had mentioned, the complete genetic mismatch. How do we prove this? Lisa asked. We need to test DNA from different parts of your body, Dr. Chin explained. If you're a chimera, your blood might have one genetic profile while your skin, hair, or reproductive tissue might have another. It's why maternity tests can sometimes produce false negatives in chimeric mothers. Dr. Phil stepped into the room. Lisa, we want to do additional testing, but that's going to take time. Right now, we need to decide how to move forward with today's show. Lisa looked at him, then at Dr. Chun. Her whole life had been built on certainties. She knew who she was, knew her daughter, knew her truth. But science was telling her something different. Not that she was lying, not that she was wrong, just that her body held secrets even she didn't know. I want to finish the episode, Lisa said finally. I want people to understand this. Because if this can happen to me, it could happen to anyone. When filming resumed, Dr. Phil explained the situation to the audience carefully. Chimerism, genetic anomalies, the difference between biological motherhood and genetic relatedness. It was complex science, but the emotional truth was simple. Lisa was Emma's mother in every way that mattered. Marcus was brought on stage via satellite from his lawyer's office. He looked skeptical. So what? Now there's a convenient medical explanation? This sounds like something her lawyer made up. Marcus, I've reviewed the preliminary findings, Dr. Phil said firmly. If Lisa is a chimera, this would explain the test results completely. It's rare, but it's real. And it means you've been challenging custody based on a misunderstanding of genetics. Or she's lying, Marcus countered. Maybe she used a surrogate and never told me. Lisa's hands clenched. I have stretch marks, Marcus. I have a C-section scar. You were in the delivery room. Surrogates can look pregnant, he said coldly. The audience erupted in disbelief. Dr. Phil raised a hand for silence. Marcus, let me be clear. If the additional tests confirm chimerism, you will have put your ex-wife and your daughter through years of unnecessary trauma. Are you prepared to accept responsibility for that? Marcus's jaw worked silently. Finally, he spoke. I just wanted to know the truth. The truth, Dr. Phil said slowly, is that your daughter is sitting backstage right now, scared and confused because her father has spent 3 years questioning whether her mother is really her mother. Emma doesn't understand DNA tests or chimerism. She understands that Daddy says something is wrong with Mommy. What do you think that does to a 5-year-old? The satellite feed showed Marcus's face crumbling slightly. For a moment, beneath the anger and suspicion, there was something else. Regret, maybe, or exhaustion. I didn't know, he said quietly. After the divorce, I couldn't trust anything she said. And when the first test came back, I thought I'd finally found proof she'd been lying all along. But she wasn't lying, Dr. Phil said. She was telling you a truth that even she didn't fully understand yet. Lisa wiped her eyes. I don't want Emma to grow up thinking her parents hate each other. I don't want her to think there's something wrong with her family. Can we just stop? Can we agree to wait for the final tests and then move forward, whatever the results are? Marcus nodded slowly. Yeah, okay. It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't reconciliation, but it was a truce. And for now, that was enough. 3 weeks later, Lisa returned to the show. The additional tests had been completed. Samples taken from her skin, her hair follicles, her cheek cells. Dr. Chun was present to explain the findings. Lisa is a tetragametic chimera, Dr. Chun announced. She has 2 distinct sets of DNA in her body. Her blood carries one genetic profile, which is what the initial maternity test analyzed. But her reproductive cells carry a different profile, and that profile is a genetic match to Emma. The audience applauded. Lisa exhaled, a sound caught between a laugh and a sob. What this means, Dr. Chin continued, is that Lisa is unquestionably Emma's biological mother. The confusion arose because standard DNA tests use blood samples, and Lisa's blood contains DNA from the twin she absorbed in utero. But her eggs, the cells that created Emma, carry her own distinct genetic code. Dr. Phil turned to Lisa. How does it feel to have science finally catch up to what you've always known? Surreal, Lisa admitted. I spent 3 years being told I was crazy, that I was lying, that I didn't know my own body. And the whole time, I was telling the truth. My body was just more complicated than anyone realized. Marcus had declined to appear in person, but had sent a statement through his attorney, apologizing for the years of conflict and expressing his commitment to co-parenting Emma moving forward. It wasn't a tearful reunion, but it was closure. Emma was brought on stage, and she climbed into Lisa's lap without hesitation. Is everything okay now, Mommy? Lisa hugged her daughter tightly. Everything's okay, baby. Dr. Phil looked at the camera. This case reminds us that science is powerful, but it's not infallible. DNA tests are tools, and like any tool, they need to be interpreted correctly. Lisa's story is rare. There are fewer than 100 documented cases of maternal chimerism worldwide. But it's a reminder that biology is more complex than we sometimes realize, and that the truth can be stranger than fiction. He paused. Lisa, what would you say to other mothers who might be facing similar challenges? Lisa thought for a moment. Trust yourself. Trust your truth. But also, be open to the possibility that the science might be revealing something you didn't know. Not because you're wrong, but because your body is more extraordinary than you ever imagined. If this story moved you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Lisa's journey reminds us that truth isn't always simple, and that sometimes the answers we're looking for are hidden in places we never thought to look, even within ourselves. Have you ever faced a situation where everyone doubted you, but you knew deep down you were right? Let us know in the comments. And if you want more stories about family, science, resilience, and the courage to stand up for your truth, subscribe. Because sometimes the most powerful stories are the ones that challenge everything we think we know.